Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your English Literature live class. The chapter which we are going to do today is The Model Millionaire, which is given as chapter 11 on page number 89 in your literature books. Okay. So this story, The Model Millionaire, it has been written by Oscar Wilde. He is an Irish um, writer. His full name is Oscar Fingallow Flaherty Wills Wilde. He's an Irish playwright, novelist, essayist, and poet as well. And he has written many short stories and poems that continue to inspire millions around the world till date. He published two collections of children's stories, The Happy Prince and Other Tales, and The House of Pomegranates. Okay, so after writing in different forms throughout the 1880s, he became one of London's most popular playwrights in the early 1890s. You know who a playwright is? One who writes plays. Okay, and he is best remembered for his epigrams and plays. Epigram is a short poem or phrase that expresses an idea in a very clever and in an amusing way. Okay, so that it is very impactful, right? So this is about the author, and now we'll see what this story is. So a brief background about the story. If we look at the if we look at the title itself, okay, it says the model millionaire. So the model, it in the word model, it indicates two meanings. Okay, model, as you know, the person who does modeling. Okay, who plays a role and displays something, that is a model. And the other is, if it is used as an adjective, then it shows a good example. It is used for a good example, or for an ideal case, so that also means model. Now, which of the two meanings satisfy this title, that we will discover towards the end of the story. Okay, so we'll start with these two things, these two meanings, but ultimately we'll know that which of the two fits, right? And moving on, the model millionaire. It has the main character, or the protagonist of the story is Hughie Erskine. Okay, he is a very good-looking and charming young man, but he has no money. Okay, his financial status is very poor, but the man is very very kind-hearted. Okay, and at one point of his life, at one point of time, he comes across a beggar in the studio of his artist friend. And that old beggar, he was very pitiable. Okay, his condition was very sad and pathetic. And since this Erskine, Huey Erskine, he was very kind-hearted, so he gets moved at the sight of the beggar. And although he himself is very poor, and he has his financial condition is not that good, is still he offers the largest denomination which he had in his pocket, the largest currency which he had in his pocket, to that beggar. Okay, and this generosity, this generous act of Huey Erskine, it brings a very great and positive consequences in Huey's life. Okay, so let us now read into the chapter. The Model Millionaire is a short story by the Irish author Oscar Wilde. It first appeared in print in the newspaper The World in June 1887. It was published again in 1891 as part of the anthology Lord Arthur Saville's Crime and Other Stories. The story concerns a young man who, although does not have much money himself, is moved to pity by the sight of an elderly beggar who is posing as a model for his artist friend. Although he can barely afford to do so, the young man gives the beggar the largest denomination coin that he has in his pocket. The young man's act of kindness has unexpected positive consequences for him. Okay, so this story, The Model Millionaire, it has been published twice. Okay, first in 1887 in a newspaper named as The World. Okay, in this newspaper, which name with the name The World, it published this story in 1887, and then for the second time, it was published in 1891 in the collection of Lord Arthur Saville's Crime and Other Stories. Okay, so what an anthology is? An anthology is nothing but a collection of some artistic work. Okay, so it can be a piece of it can be collection of literary works, or artworks, or music, or anything like that, anything which is um, related to art. Okay, so that is an anthology, it is a collection. Yeah, so now, as I already told you, that this is the story of a young man. Okay, and the story revolves around his, it is a story about him, how he what all challenges he faces in life, and what all happens with him when he gives the when he gives money to the beggar. Okay, now let us move ahead and read further. There is no use in being charming unless one is wealthy. Romance is the privilege of the rich, not the profession of the unemployed. It is better to have a permanent income than to be fascinating. The poor should be practical and prosaic. These are the great truths of modern life which Hughie Erskine never realized. So the author has written, in a satirical way, we can say that there's no use of being very attractive, okay, when you don't have money, right? So in the in a very straightforward way, he's trying to say that the poor people, they if they are very good looking, then that those looks of the poor people are of no use to them, as long as they don't have money. And it is always better to have a fixed source of income than to be fascinating, than to be good to look at. Okay, and he also says that this all the the romance and everything, these lie at the advantage of the rich people. These are the things for the rich people and not for the unemployed, because the unemployed people, they have other things to think of. Okay, for instance, they have to think of their bread, they have to think of their home, right? So they do not have much time for the romantic business. Okay, and also he says that for the poor people should always be ordinary, they should be practical, and they should be very dull and uninteresting, they should not be very much attractive. So all the business of being attractive, it is for the rich and not for the poor. This author has tried to convey it to the readers. Okay, but further he says that these are the great truths of modern life, okay. This thing is to be pointed, that in modern life, in the modern generation, what is the thing of what is the most important thing now for people? Money. Okay, if you have money, then you are good looking. If you don't have money, then your looks then your looks don't matter at all, right? So all other qualities are suppressed by this very one thing, that is money, right? So it is said in a satirical tone, in a tone which makes fun of the modern life, but it is the sad reality also. Now he's saying that Huey Erskine, he never realized this. Huey Erskine is our protagonist. Okay, as I already told you, he's the main character of the story. Poor Hugh. Intellectually, we must admit he was not of much importance, but then he was wonderfully good looking, with his crisp brown hair, his clear cut profile, and his grey eyes. So, this is the description of Huey Erskine. He's saying intellectually, like when we talk of intellect or wit or wisdom, then we must admit that he was average. Huey Erskine was average. He was not that witty person. But when it comes to his physical appearance, then he was really very good looking. And then again, he has described his looks, that he had very crisp brown hair and gray eyes, and clear cut profile, great jawline, and everything. So these are the description of Huey Erskine. And then, since he was very good looking, so he was popular both in men and women. Both men and women, they liked Huey Erskine. They used to admire him. Okay, so he was as popular with men as he was with women, and he had every accomplishment except that of making money. So he had all kind of accomplishment. He might have all kinds of trophies, and he might have excelled in every field of every field, but then he did not have money. Okay, he had all the achievements but money. He his financial status was very bad. He had tried his hands at many professions and failed at all. Now, this story is an abridged version. Okay, in the original stories, three professions have been mentioned. He tried his luck at the stock exchange, but there he failed. This was one profession which is not given in your book, but I'm just giving it for your extra knowledge. Okay, so stock exchange business, and then he went into the tea business. He became a tea merchant, but that also did not bring much fortune to him, so that also flopped. That business also failed. And the third one was dry sherry. Okay, he became the merchant of dry sherry. Sherry is what? Sherry is nothing but wine. So these are the three businesses which he tried his hands at, but he failed in all the three. Okay, here it's just written that he had tried his hand at many professions, but in the original story these three professions have been mentioned, so I told you. And he failed at all of them, right? Ultimately he became a delightful, ineffectual young man, and with no profession, living on 200 a year that an old aunt allowed him. Okay, so he what was the only source of income for Huey Erskine? It was just 200 a year that an old aunt used to provide him, Huey Erskine. Okay, and that used to be his only sole source of income. Now, moving on. To make matters worse, he was in love with Laura Merton, the daughter of a retired colonel. Okay, so in the very beginning, in the first line, the author has suggested itself that romance is the privilege of the rich. So now here in the second paragraph, he's saying that to make the matter worse, he fell in love with Laura Merton. Now, one thing, he does not have any enough money, but now he is in love with this lady Laura Merton, who is a daughter of a colonel. Okay, Laura adored him, and he was ready to kiss her shoestring. So this is the intensity of Huey's love towards Laura, that he could even kiss her shoestrings. Okay, her shoelaces. They were the handsomest couple in London. So this story has been set in London, and had not a penny piece between them. Right? So you can just underline and write down they had no money. Not a penny piece between them means they had no money. The colonel was very fond of Huey, but would not hear of an engagement. Now, this man, Hughie Erskine, he is financially unstable. He has just 200. He just gets 200 a year, and that is his only source of income. But now he is in love with Laura Merton, and Laura Merton is the daughter of a colonel. Okay, and they both love each other very much, but they lack money. Since he was a very good looking person, so Colonel also liked Huey Erskine. But then whenever it used to come to their engagement, or whenever Huey proposed to Colonel for the to get married with his daughter, then the Colonel was very much reluctant about it. He never agreed to this, right? Because like, come on, practically thinking, that the man who does not earn at all, how can a father um, you know get her daughter married to such a person? So he never agreed to this. Okay, moving on. Come to me, my boy, when you have got 10,000 pounds of your own, and we will see about it, he would say. And Huey had to return to Laura for consolation. Now, since Huey did not earn anything, he was unemployed, he was jobless. So whenever he offered to Colonel about marrying his daughter, okay, so Colonel has set up a condition in front of Huey Erskine, that when he will have 10,000 pounds of his own. That is, when he will earn 10,000 pounds, then he should go to Colonel, and then Colonel would see about it whether he has to give permission, whether he'll agree to it or not. So this is the big condition, that he has to first get 10,000 pounds. And at this, Huey used to get very depressed and sad, and then he always goes to Laura for consolation, to get sympathy, okay, to get to find solace, right? So consolation, you can just write down solace or comfort or sympathy, anything which you can connect with, right? Now, one morning, Huey dropped in to see a great friend of his, Alan Trevor, an artist. Okay, so now comes a fourth, character. We have seen Hughie Erskine, we have seen Laura Merton and Colonel, her father. Now comes Alan Trevor, who is an artist and who is a very dear friend of Hughie Erskine. Personally, he was a strange, rough fellow with a freckled face and a red, ragged beard. Okay, so this is the description or physical appearance of Alan Trevor. He was not very good looking. He was not as charming as Huey Erskine was. He was a very average looking person, and rough face, freckled, like all over, spots all over, and his beard, it was not properly trimmed, like the artists look. Okay, they don't care about their looks, right? However, when he took up the brush, he was a real master. And his pictures here, there's a misprint over, only S has been written, you can just write down his over there. And his pictures were eagerly sought after. So now, although he was not very good looking, but whenever he used to take brush in his hand, then he becomes a real master. He paints really well. He's an artist, and whenever he picks up his brush, then everybody waits for his painting. Okay. Um, he had been very much attracted by Huey at first, entirely on account of his personal charm, but after he got to know Huey better, he liked him quite as much for his buoyant spirits and his generous, reckless nature, and had given him the permanent entry to his studio. Now, this artist, Alan Trevor, he was very much, attracted by Huey, as we know that Huey was a very good-looking person and he was a very charming person. Okay, so the first impression is that of looks on everyone. So that also, his looks again attracted Alan Trevor. But then gradually, when their friendship deepened and he got to know Huey better, he liked him more for his buoyant spirit, for his positive attitude, and for his enthusiastic nature, and then also for his generosity. Okay, because Huey was a very kind-hearted person, he was a very generous person, and his reckless nature, that is, whenever he did not think before acting, right? In a positive way, we should take this in a positive way, because when his generosity was out of impulse. He did not he did not did um, he did not do calculative generosity, charity, if you think. Okay, he did not think much, right? So it was all impulsive, without thinking, whatever generosity he showed on people. So that is what attracted Alan Trevor the most. And as a result, he had given him permanent entry to his studio. That is, he could visit his studio whenever he wanted, right? So this is how Alan Trevor got attracted to Huey Erskine, and they became really good friends. Now let us see ahead what happens. When Huey came in his in when Huey came in, he found Trevor putting the finishing touches to a wonderful life-size picture of a beggar man. So, what was Alan doing when Huey visited him? He was giving the final touch. Okay, he was just he was about to complete this painting of a beggar, life-size painting. That means it was a very huge painting, um, and he the of a beggar man. Whom was he painting? He was painting a beggar. Okay, The beggar himself was standing on a raised platform in a corner of the studio. So there was a place in the corner of a studio, a little bit raised, like made a sort of a stage, and he was standing over there. He was posing the for Alan Trevor. Okay, and he was now here comes a description of the old beggar. He was a wizened old man with a face like wrinkled parchment, which bore a most which bore the most piteous expression. Over his shoulders was flung a coarse brown cloak, all tears and tatters. His thick boots were patched and cobbled. With one hand he leant on a rough stick, while with the other he held out his battered hat for arms. Now, when Huey visits Alan Trevor, he finds out that Alan was giving a final finishing touch to his big painting of a beggar man, and that beggar was standing in the corner of the studio on a raised platform, and he looked very pitiable. His condition was really pathetic. Okay, and it was heart moving, right? Because he had this very wrinkled face, the wrinkles which appears due to old age, and the wrinkle which appear due to old age, and also he looked very weak. Okay, and there he has been his face, wrinkles on his face has been compared with parchment. Okay, parchment, that is also a wrinkled piece of thing. And all tears and tatters, it was all in a very bad condition, and his thick boots, they were all patched, and nothing looked fresh, right? And it seemed to that he had been wearing all these things since ages, because they have been used and used again, and it has all tattered and all torn. And his one hand, he lent his one hand on a very rough stick, and in the other in the other hand he held a hat, okay, which was again in a very bad condition, and that hat was for alms. Okay, alms, the offering which one gives to the beggar. And on his shoulder there was a coarse brown cloak, a thick cloth. Okay, it was there on his shoulder. What an amazing model, whispered Huey. So Huey was very amazed at the sight of the beggar. He thought that he was just a model who was posing for his friend Alan Trevor. He has just taken that appearance. He thought that he was not a real beggar, but that person has just taken the appearance in order to pose for Alan Trevor. So he thought that he's just a model. An amazing model, shouted Trevor. I I should think so. Such beggars as he are not to be met with every day. I should thank my luck stars. What an etching Rembrandt would have made of him. So now when Huey says that he's a very amazing model, to that Alan replies that no, he's not a model. He's a real beggar. Okay, and his condition is such that um, he should thank his stars that one doesn't meet such kind of beggar, such a beggar who looks like that, like this person was looking. So he was very thankful. He found himself very lucky that he came across this beggar, and he got an opportunity to make a painting of this beggar. Okay, and then he exclaims that what an etching Rembrandt would have made of him. So etching is a technique of painting, okay, where the lines and everything is incised on the incised, and then acid and other chemicals are thrown over there in order to hold the ink. So that is a kind of that is a kind of technique which painters use. Okay, and Rembrandt is the name of a Dutch painter who was popular for this technique. He was an etcher also. So he exclaims that what if Rembrandt would have met such a beggar, what would have he painted? What he would have edged? So he finds himself very lucky that he came across uh, a beggar who looks like that. Poor old chap, said Huey. How miserable he looks. But I suppose to you painters, his face is his fortune. Now he says he feels pity for who? Huey feels very pity for the beggar, poor old chap. Chap, you can underline it is. It is an informal word which is used for man or boy. Okay, like when you say poor old man or poor old boy, but in informal, when we want to say it informally, then we can say poor old chap. Okay. Now he feels really pity on the condition of the beggar, but then he also says that the painters, they don't look anything, but they only look, they only seek for the looks. Okay. And he thinks that his face is his fortune, because the appearance of the beggar, that is what attracted Alan Trevor to make a painting of him. All right. So and for such a look, the beggar would be getting money. So that is what he meant when he said his face is his fortune. Certainly, replied Trevor. Yes, of course. You don't want a beggar to look happy, do you? So he says that yes, of course, a happy-looking beggar doesn't seem fine for his painting. So there should be sadness, there should be pity on his face. Okay, so that people, when they see such painting, they get moved at such sight. Okay, but just imagine a happy-looking beggar. Would anybody get attracted to such painting? Would that look attract any kind of attention? No. But such look in which the beggar was, that would do. How much does a model get for sitting? Asked Huey. So Huey asked that how much will he get for sitting, like for posing you? A shilling an hour. So he said, Alan Trevor replies Huey that he would get a shilling for an hour. If he stands in front of me for an hour, he would get a shilling. And shilling is what? It is 1/20th part of a pound. Okay, pound is the currency of the United Kingdom. So the 1/20th part of it is shilling. All right, but it is not no longer in use. It is a former British coin which is no longer in use, but its value is that of 1/20th of a pound. And how much do you get for your picture, Alan? Huey asked that how much. Huey asked Alan that how much does he get for his picture, for his painting? Oh, for this I get 2,000. So Alan says that he would get 2,000 pounds. Huey asked that would he get 2,000 pounds? So uh, Alan says guineas. Painters, poets, and physicians always get guineas. So he says no, I won't get pound, but I would get guineas. Okay, so guineas is English gold coins, and the value of it is 21 shillings. Okay, one guinea is equal to 21 shillings, so you would be getting 2,000 guineas, right? So that makes up to 42,000 shillings. And how much would the beggar get? Just 1 shilling for an hour. Okay. And also Alan tells Huey that painters, poets, and physicians get guineas. So at that point of in those times, the painters, poets, and physicians might be getting guineas, but that is not the case now. Well, I think the model should have a percentage. Now, when he calculates the difference, okay, between the painter and the one, between the money which the painter will get and the money which the model will get, he finds it to be a little unfair, and he asks that I think that should be in proportion. Okay, there should be some proportion. It is very disproportionate that the model is getting just 1 shilling for an hour and you are getting 2,000 guineas. That is a huge difference. So at least there should be a proportion. Okay, there should be a percentage. Cried Huey, laughing. They work quite as hard as you do. So he said that in a humorous tone, in a light mode, that the model is standing right there and posing for you for the whole day, or as long as you take time to paint him. So he is also doing pretty much hard work as you are doing. Nonsense, nonsense. Why? Look at the trouble of laying on the paint alone and standing all day long at one's easel. I assure you that there are moments when art almost attains to the dignity of manual labor. but you mustn't chatter. I am very busy. Okay, so when he says, when Huey says that the model is also doing a very hard work as you are doing, so Alan says that it's rubbish, it's nonsense, because just imagine that I am standing here in front of the easel. Easel is the wooden frame on which the painters put their canvas. That is the easel. Okay, and I am standing in front of the easel all day long, and holding this painting tools and everything and trying to paint. And he's saying that he assures Huey that there come moments, when the art is as difficult becomes as difficult as the manual labor. So the dignity of the one who is painting or the art is almost as equal to the manual labor, to the one who does a manual labor. But then he says that you should not let us not talk much because I am very busy. I should concentrate my work. After some time, a servant came and told Trevor that the frame maker wanted to speak to him. So after some time, uh, when they were talking, when Aaron was painting and Huey was there in the studio, a servant came and he told him that there is a frame maker who wanted to talk to Alan. So Alan had to leave the studio. And what does he say? Don't run away, Huey, he said as he went out. I will be back in a moment. So he says that he asks Huey to stay back till he comes. Okay, and he says that he should not go. I'm just coming in some time. So just be here. Okay, and he goes to talk to the frame maker. So we'll do it till here, and further we'll do tomorrow. Right? I hope you people have understood till here. Thank you.